Boston, Massachusetts. My name is Frank Allen. Tonight, we welcome Midge Mathis and Susan Olsen of Targeted Justice for a question and answer session relating to when they were on the station, on the show last Friday evening. So, once again, Midge Mathis and Susan Olsen of Targeted Justice will be doing a question and answer session on the Republic Broadcasting Network. You can call into the show live and ask them a question at 800-313-9443 or listen at 605-313-0163. Okay, and who would like to go first? Okay, we have a caller, Richard from North Carolina. He would like to direct his question at Midge or Susan.
Well, I'd like to ask both of the ladies maybe a few questions along the way. One of the first ones I'd like to ask is, what do they think one of the bigger steps that might be considered our next step, and perhaps even one of the smaller things that the people that are out here suffering can bring together to try to make a big difference for themselves?
Okay.
Hi, Midge. Midge, are you there?
She's not here yet. I'm sure she will be.
Okay. Hi, Fred. I'm sorry. What is your name again?
That's Richard.
Hi, Richard. Are we, when you talk about helping ourselves, are we talking about the virus that's going around or targeting in general?
No.
Do you...
Well, yeah, just the targeting, one of the bigger steps that we might make as a community, especially Targeted Justice, what is one of the bigger steps that we need to be trying to accomplish now, and maybe even some of the smaller things as individuals that people could do at home now that might help the whole cause.
Okay, one thing, I'm going to try to pull this up. There was an article that I just read today. I'm sorry, let me get it. It was on Twitter. And I think what we're starting to see is, I'm sorry, I'm trying to find the article so that I could refer you to the link. Here we go. Okay. This was about, and this is again what targets in general might want to focus on right now. There was an article that was just posted a couple of days ago about the Office of the Inspector General. The FISA court responds to the latest information from the Office of the Inspector General. And what this article states, and I'm going to tell you why this pertains to what we need to start doing now. After a review of 29 FISA applications from 8 different FBI field offices, the Office of the Inspector General informed the FBI and the Department of Justice that none of the surveillance applications were compliant with the procedures to declare somebody to be put under surveillance or under a watch list. That means that 0 applications had FBI evidence to support the validity of the claims within the FISA warrant. That is a really big problem if those FISA warrants were used to gather evidence used to prosecute the 29 targets of those applications. Why that's important here, in this, again, I'm going to give Frank the link. He might actually have it himself already. But in this order that was released, there's a PDF here. The presiding judge, James Boasberg, is ordering the FBI to identify who those targets were. Now, this is major for us. Those of us.
Yes, it is.
This is major because if now the FBI is going to be forced to identify who those supposed targets are. We're going to start seeing some names, and we're hoping that this opens up the doorway to something way bigger. And the FBI is in trouble. This is starting to fall apart, and hopefully the years of torture that citizens here, and not just the United States, this is a global thing. If the weapons attacks and the orders were coming from the United States, somebody from a foreign country could now sue them as well. And on our Targeted Justice website, we stand by, and you could speak with Richard Lighthouse, ourlighthouse.com. We do have a paper trail leading that the majority of the surveillance, the satellite tracking and surveillance, is coming from Schriever Air Force Base in Colorado Springs. But back to this is a really important story. Frank, are you going to post it on Targeted Massachusetts?
Sure, I certainly will.
Website, okay. This is a story that all TIs need to be following really closely, because one of my trips, I was down in Washington 4 times last year in 2019. The last time I went down, I was not representing Targeted Justice at the time, but I just went as a citizen with 3 other very tough ladies that are being targeted as well. And this 4th time that we went down, I can tell you that and we probably went through about 100 offices in the Senate. Every single time we sat with a representative, they brought in their legislative aide and an attorney. So the government officials know now. It's been my opinion, and I think everybody listening in, and Richard, I'm sure you too, if you went in your state to try to get help from any of your elected officials, we weren't getting any help. And the last time I went down in December and sat with these politicians, they had their on-staff lawyers sit in. And what I suspect is happening is that this program is going to be exposed wide open, and I believe they're going to try to mitigate liability, I guess, for what has happened to us, because it's illegal. It was illegal the whole time. So how can we help ourselves? I would urge every TI to really start collecting evidence of everything that has happened to you. And I know this is hard. We can't do it from an emotionally reactive standpoint, as hard as that is, but just hardcore evidence. Pictures of cars that are stalking you, getting their license plates, checking homes in your neighborhood of places that you think might be where a house may be targeted. And I know my old neighborhood, before I was forced out, 3 homes were purchased on my block when my targeting went overt in 2015. And those homes disappeared off the tax rolls. They literally disappeared. If you go to your tax assessor's office and you check those addresses, they disappear. Well, who bought those homes? And shortly after I went public on another big TI outlet, they started packing up those houses within the week because they knew I figured out who it was. So what TIs can do now, as this is all starting to unfold, start collecting hardcore evidence. Pictures of your injuries. If you've been burnt by directed energy weapons, if you have any medical documentation of being implanted, any scans, and is Richard still there? I don't want to, if he has, just please jump in. If you want to stop or if you want to join in the conversation, jump in, please.
Yeah, no problem.
No,
Richard,
I'm
still there?
listening.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still listening. I was just letting you finish, and I was kind of coming around to another question that pertains to what you were saying. The fact that TIs are getting targeted for different reasons, which makes their stories a little bit different, but the symptoms and the things that they're experiencing pretty much are the same. But I was also, wondering, if there was some way that maybe there's some group of people that would be interested to step a little further down the totem pole and realize that there are TIs on the street and homeless that are living in the woods and, well, being messed with a whole lot worse than some of us are. I was thinking maybe it'd be a good thing if you know some organizations, maybe you could share some places some of these people can go. I actually found a group of TIs living in the woods, and one of them had a phone, and they would gather around at night, and they would turn the phone on and call these calls, and they would sit and listen to all us talk about all this stuff. And I found it a little sad because, well, the majority of them were functional, working hard family people that their targeting was simply to dismantle. Well, one lady had a lawsuit, another lady had some inheritance that she was supposed to be getting from her family, and there just wasn't anything else for them to be targeted. So that is why a lot of these are targeted, is to manipulate and control and replenish their assets, as well as taking their property and belongings from them. So if you know any organizations that might help.
I'm just going to say at a local level at this point, I would reach out to churches. You know, what you're talking about now, Richard, we're in a precarious situation right now because of this, I call it a plandemic, this coronavirus. And we're supposed to be practicing social distancing. And you bring up a really interesting question about, in these times now, can a TI go to a homeless shelter? Can they go to a hostel? Can they go to a church? Can they go to a women's shelter? That's a really good question. That's something I'm going to have to look into. Those are all avenues I would suggest going into. I live in the Metro New York area, so there are a lot more resources here that TIs can try, as well as rooming in with other TIs because we're so densely populated here. But the TIs out in the country, it's a tough thing right now. I cannot say organizations. I can't bring that up right now, but that is probably the primary thing we need to worry about right now is the basic need of TIs to make sure they're sheltered, make sure they have proper food and nutrition, support system around, and the only thing I could say is to try to stick at the local level. At this point, I haven't heard of any TI that has been able to get any kind of major federal help at this point. I think it's going to break. We're starting to see this whole thing chip away, slowly but surely. I've said before in other interviews, there are going to be cracks in the dam, and this whole thing's going to start pouring out. Richard,
this list really interests me, I'll tell you. I can't wait to see this list.
Oh, the list from the FBI, what they're going to have to produce. But, Richard, what I'm going to say for the local TIs, because I just want to talk about quickly, Frank, putting this out there, if you are together, there's safety in numbers. I even tell TIs here where I'm living, and it's hard because we're dealing with mind control technology that's being used on a grand scale. So the problems that we face is targeted people, and I have evidence that I have chips in my brain and I'm being tracked. I have chips in my body. I've been fortunate enough to get that evidence. And you understand when people are turned away from you, you say, okay, they're being manipulated. But when you're talking rural areas like this and TIs that maybe weren't awakened to the fact early enough to preserve some of their assets, the biggest thing is they've got to stick together. And, I don't care if they have to stay 6 feet apart for social distancing, but you've got to get each other's back, help each other get food through local food banks. I do know that there are churches in my area that do still have their food banks open, church pantries. That's the primary thing right now. It's hard to even find restaurants open. A lot of restaurants here in New York, they would give surplus food to shelters and to food banks, they're not doing that anymore right now because a lot of them have closed down. So primary thing, safety in numbers. We've got to get these people that are in rural areas to try to locate, go through local means first. As this whole case cracks open, it's going to be vitally important that we do stick with each other. Be aware if you see somebody being neurologically manipulated with this technology. I know it's hard. Trust me, they've turned my own children against me when this started. And I just sit back. If I had not been aware of the technology, I would have been destroyed by this, but I know it's happening. So we have to kind of be a little bit tolerant at this point. It's tough to ask a TI who's being tortured and starved and their assets stripped. But we've got to just get each other's back at this point. On a practical, once we get the basic needs of those TIs, they've got shelter, they've got food, they've got companionship to watch out for each other. We need to start creating a paper trail. And again, it's going to be difficult right now because I myself, due to the computer hacking of the entire router to the house, and we all know, we've all dealt with that, I would go to my public library. They've shut all the libraries down now. So once we can figure out a way, if there are TIs, if there's one TI in a group that might have a computer or people start pooling their resources, I do see Amazon trucks still delivering in my neighborhood. So shipping is still happening. Deliveries are still happening. If people could ship in to maybe buy used or refurbish stuff at a cheaper cost to get one computer together within a community. What we need to start doing, excuse me?
I was just going to say that I find myself on a regular basis, day to day, in a battle of sorts with the people around me and other TIs that simply they think that this is okay. It's okay to them, whether they're manipulated or paid or whatever. The whole thing is there is a part of the community, non-TI community, of course, that simply thinks, hey, this is okay with us. And I think that's one bigger part of our battle is the fact that some of the people in the country may consider this for whatever reason, money or manipulation, that this is okay. So we've got to figure out also a way to try to curve the thoughts of, wow, this is okay, whether it's legal or not. Let's make it legal. Let's label them or manipulate them or make them homeless and then pass some laws so we can do, whatever we want to do with them. So I would like to maybe ask if you guys work on anything like that.
Okay, we have to go to commercial, Richard. Hang with us. We'll be back in 3 minutes. Thank you.
Perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge $20, $30, $40, $50, if possible, $100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Here at Republic Broadcasting Network, we have been building our online store. Well, we have been focusing on bringing you the best talk show host in the country. Here at Republic Broadcasting Network, we also want our listeners to have products they can use every day and in times of emergency. We have added new products each week to our store. Your support of this network, plus products at the best prices, is a win-win situation. Check out our new store. Go to our website, republicbroadcasting.org, and click on the online store located at the top of our website. Together, we can continue to grow RBN and help our listeners prepare for the future. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and click on our online store or call us.
800-724-2719, extension 3. 800-724-2719, extension 3.
Good evening from Boston, Massachusetts. My name is Frank Allen. Tonight, we welcome Midge Mathis and Susan Olsen of Targeted Justice for a question and answer session on the Republic Broadcasting Network. Just questions and answers. Call in to 800-313-9443 and you can ask that question. Or listen at 605-313-0163. Okay, Richard, do you have any questions for Susan?
Well, yeah, I was trying to finish up, Frank, and I didn't, sorry I didn't hear the music, but I wanted to just ask, as far as the people in the world, instead of just trying to make them aware, do they think that a way to bring the pain and suffering visibly and physically to the public, to let them know mainly how illegal there's some out there that think it's okay. So we need to show them what they think is okay. If she can come up with a way that we might go about trying to do that.
I can tell you that Targeted Justice mission is to end the program. It's not only to make people aware of it, it's to end it. And how we're proceeding to end it is by exposing the people involved, exposing the paper trail, exposing the laws that have been broken, exposing the constitutional rights that have been violated to every targeted individual. So we estimate that there may be 1 million TIs across the planet. And Richard, what has unfortunately happened is most people that are chosen for this program, and it is a CIA program, understand that this is They have a handbook for this. Targeted Justice website has a handbook for stalkers and how they train them. The Department of Homeland Security, the DHS Fusion Center, there's at least one in every state. They have a manual and an actual program that they are paid for and that the perps are paid for. And the reason why the local police are told to stand down is because this is a federal program. They could lose funding, and they don't want to ruffle any feathers. Law enforcement knows what's happening. The DHS knows what's happening. The president knows what's happening, and your local politicians know what's happening. Your governor, your senator, your congresspeople. How can I make that statement? Because I've been to Washington 4 times in at least 200 different offices, looking at these staff in their face. And once you start getting higher up the food chain, they absolutely know that this program is going on. Now, the younger people in the office in Washington, they're in their 20s. They get a lot of these interns from college. I mean, the look of horror on their faces, because Targeted Justice took a trip in April and May last year, literally went into every congressperson's office and senator's office, and we handed them a folder about the program. We put the most vivid pictures we could find in Midge Mathis. It's horrible that she got burnt the way she did, but I try to joke with her, I'm so sorry you got burnt that way, Midge, but you have some of the best evidence. And when you take a lot of us, Richard, get burnt from the inside out. I have a wireless body area network implanted in me, and when these psychopaths want to burn someone from the inside out, you can't see the wounds on the outside. Midge had the wounds on the outside, and we went to Washington telling these politicians, here are pictures, there are people getting burnt through satellite, they're getting burnt through directed energy weapons that are in the local communities. Here's evidence that people are being either arrested, they're being fraudulently, psychiatrically incarcerated to cover up the crimes. So Washington knows about this program. The politicians know about the program. We have, oh gosh, I can't even figure out now how many hits. I wish I had Richard Lighthouse with me right now, because he's been monitoring on another website. The Targeted Justice website was being until the government censorship criminals are trying to hack this website and block it. There are many foreign TIs that cannot access our website. It's going on globally. They know about it.
Susan, we are going to station identification. We'll be back in a bit. Thank you all for listening.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
What would you say if I told you we have a new tool that will increase production and lower maintenance costs for your meat processing company? And it would pay for itself in just 6 weeks.
When pigs fly!
The new Ease Off Model Easy 4 replaces old spring-style carcass droppers and is faster, safer, and more reliable. The Ease Off lowers or lifts 1,000 pounds to or from your rail automatically using our remote control.
Sounds expensive. Can I afford it?
Can you afford not to try the Ease Off? It installs fast with just 3 bolts in place of your current dropper. The effortless operation will reduce fatigue and injuries, speed up your line, eliminate downtime, and increase profit.
How can I order my Ease Off?
Go to easeoff.com, EAZEOFF.com, and hurry, because we are offering $200 off on the new Easy 4 for a limited time. Easeoff.com. We make pigs fly. Cows, too. Ease Off LLC, Summersville, Missouri, 417-932-6419.
Many people write us about their experience with Extendivite. Allow me to read you some from Amazon.com. It really does work like the review says it does. I cannot believe that after the first few days, I didn't feel as sluggish or clogged up. It has had a profound impact on my physical, emotional well-being. I'm skeptical as most people about products and their claims, and I never write reviews, but this is a wonderful product and I recommend it to everyone. Great product. It has brought my blood pressure from the mid-150s over the 80s to the mid-130s over mid-80s, along with diet and exercise in just the past couple of months. Excellent. Thank you, David. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
Did you know that you can be tracked and traced when you're online? With identity theft and cybercrimes on the rise, your passwords, your identity, and even your physical location can be revealed to complete strangers. Would you like to surf the internet anonymously and not have to worry about these threats? Well, now you can by visiting patriotinternet.com. For about $2 per month, patriotinternet.com will conceal your IP address and your physical location, allowing you to browse the web, send emails, and instant message anonymously. patriotinternet.com will bypass filters, block sites, and keyword blocking. You can also bypass logging by your router and your ISP. With patriotinternet.com, there is no software to install and uses 128-bit encryption for your protection. When using wireless hotspots, patriotinternet.com shields your information from identity thieves and is compatible with Windows, Mac, and Linux. Protect your identity and your freedom with anonymous internet access from patriotinternet.com. Visit patriotinternet.com today.
Good evening from Boston, Massachusetts. Once again, my name is Frank Allen. Tonight, we welcome Midge Mathis and Susan Olsen of Targeted Justice for a question and answer session on the Republic Broadcasting Network. And we have Marilyn from Ohio. You can direct your questions to Susan if you want, Marilyn.
Hi, Susan.
Hi,
I
Marilyn.
wanted to... Hey, hi, Frank. Mind control and the coronavirus. I wanted to share a story and then ask a question. I have synthetic telepathy, and one of the things that I've been mind controlled to do is to cough and excrete stomach content in private and in public, even at work. And it's been really hard to control my own brain to stop this. Now it's happening with the coronavirus, and I'm really going to try to control this cough. It's a simple command: cough, cough, and mind control and biological warfare. This is not going to be good. All these people are going to be at home, and. Do you think gang stalking will go into these people's lives now that there's this COVID-19? Are we going to have more TIs? And are they being psychologically traumatized like 9/11 by this global pandemic? And I just wanted to know what your thoughts were on that. And do you think that it's biological warfare?
Frank, do you want to respond with that one?
Sure. Yeah, it's definitely biological. It's a biologic. The coronavirus, I think, could be activated by it or enhanced by it. And we also have the Schumann resonance at 76, which it has been higher, but it happens to be high at this point in time. So I would have to say that I think all three somehow are linked together. And I
And what do you
also
think about
believe
mind control weapons used during the coronavirus, like remote neural monitoring, MK
most
Ultra,
definitely,
frequency?
most
Yeah.
definitely. Okay, Marilyn, we have Jewel from Tennessee. You're welcome to hang on, Marilyn, if you like.
Hello?
Hi.
Can you guys? Hi. I kind of hear an echo. I don't want to make you echo. But I'm wondering what else I can do in this Mayberry town, the Bible Belt. I don't think the people that work at the Southwest Electric Company, I don't know if they know that these meters are emitting these high frequencies. But certainly the one man that called about 6 or 7 months ago does, because he went wild because I was on the radio talking about it. And I was more surprised that, yes, he was trying to intimidate me, absolutely. But I think he intimidated everybody else. And I'm not going to, I called again last week and I said, do you not think everybody sitting home in their houses all day long are not going to be, influenced by these meters? Again, nothing. She made it up. I'm like, why can't you look it up? There's so much information, you'd have to be blind not to see it.
No,
like
they said
the chemtrails.
They said that you made it up?
Yeah, the journalist guy that took the call over and Keith is a journalist. And I'm like, did you just get paid off or something? Because you work with Dr. Crook, and Dr. Crook wasn't a crook. He just was ahead of his time as far as diet. Now, this isn't a funny game, because a week after that being on my home, everything started going downhill. The headaches haven't stopped. It triggered the lupus and the scleroderma, which had been completely under control just through my diet. Not an easy diet, but it was manageable and doable. So, unless someone else calls that radio station, because that's the most listened to. I don't know why, but it is.
Which radio station is that, ma'am?
This is the radio station. Comes out of Jackson, Tennessee, and it's 101.5.
Okay.
And my son says he's right. You've got to have someone else speak up, Mom. And the young woman that works at the health food store knows about it, because she studied this stuff a long time ago. And she moved here from Colorado. But she can only speak up about the topics that I bring up. And that's what I bring up. But nobody else is calling. And it's either they are stupid or they don't want to know. Because I'm saying, if you have headaches that don't stop, if you have ringing in the ears, if you have to hold on to your countertop to make it over to sit down, something's wrong. And I called the lawyer yesterday, and I guess he wasn't interested. He talks about slavery all the time. And I said, what do you think this is? But just getting nowhere fast.
Jewel, there are a couple of websites that you can check out, and it's very difficult to just talk about it. I found, I just watched a podcast today, or a YouTube channel today, about a former FEMA. She worked 20-plus years for FEMA, and she was just explaining this entire program that includes the coronavirus, includes the electromagnetic frequencies and the smart meters, and just tying it all together really well. And what she stated is that of all of these models that they run, when they do demographic research, that only 10% of the people will have any kind of response. You can talk until you're blue in the face, and the average person just is not going to listen. So what I have done, and I'm just looking right now, there are a couple of websites. When you're talking about this to other people, sometimes you can't talk. You just have to show them an article and say, look. And maybe they'll come around and start reading it. There's a website called emfwarriors.com. They have a really good library in there with a lot of documentation about the electricity and how it affects your health. And did you mention Dr. Jack Kruse? Is that the doctor you were talking about? There's a Dr. Jack.
No.
Okay.
No, I said Dr. Go ahead.
What was your doctor?
Ahead, oh, no, Dr. Crook. He was the doctor around here, and he was teaching about eating, and that's what was causing fibromyalgia, because people would not eat correctly. So anyway, that's who Keith worked for, the guy that's a DJ and a journalist on this radio station. But I think it's maybe because Keith feels intimidated by his height. I'm not trying to be rude, but I think because of that call, he's I think she made that up. She planned that. Well, how the hell am I going to plan something?
I think he feels a little shorter now, too.
Well, you shouldn't be a journalist if you're not going to be truthful. Oh, that's silly. Mention that now in this day and age, right?
Depends upon where the news is coming from. If the news is coming from here, it's going to be truthful. If you go to CNN, you might get a government package.
Oh, Lord, no. No. I watch CNN play the over and over again, supposedly pictures of us attacking Syria, and that was a reenactment of Knob Creek. And if I hadn't watched closer, I would have noticed the cell phones in the theater. I'm like, wow, how sneaky.
You know what helps, Jewel? Have you tried, or the person that you were talking about having grabbing onto the countertop because of the ringing in the ears, is before you go to sleep at night, with the exception of the refrigerator, we don't want to destroy our food, but turning the circuit breakers off, I tried that last month, and it really changed the way I slept. It didn't totally eliminate it, but it really reduced the sensation of the electricity that was uncomfortable. It's turning the circuit breaker off, because even if you have a smart meter in there, it's a little bit more difficult for them to throw electricity at you while you're sleeping if you've turned the circuit breaker off, especially in your bedroom. Have you tried that?
Well, no, I haven't. I don't even sleep in the bedroom. I have to sleep in this chair out here, because if I lean, I can't lean a certain way because of the lupus. It kind of hard to breathe, throat.
Okay,
but,
we've got longtime TI who would like to join in if you want to stay, Jewel.
Sure.
I'm a long-time TI, and I have undergone body modification, very serious skeletal attacks to the entire skeleton. It has caused the whole body to be compacted down. I've lost height. I look as if I have a very severe case of arthritis, but I've been chipped and disintegrated and hard-boiled day and night for years. And I'm wondering, are there any kinds of conditions that are caused by energy weapons attacks and exposures that show up in blood work such as MUGS or MGUS?
Yes, you can actually go to the Targeted Justice website, and on our medical tab, we do have some tests that do show evidence of damage to the DNA from exposure to electromagnetic frequencies. And you might want to check that out. But also, we got an email recently. I don't want to expound on this until we investigate everything, but there's somebody who's being targeted that is a medical professional, and they sent an email to us this week about specific tests that TIs can go through. We will publish it on the website after we verify everything, but this could be exciting because if we can find a commonality, and Targeted Justice is committed to bringing forth a class action lawsuit for everybody that has been tortured and non-consensually experimented with in this program. But we will be posting that. There will be other markers. There are markers. One thing that you can check that all TIs that are getting hit is their blood begins to clot more easily. It's called rouleau blood. You might want to check the D-dimer levels. That can measure. That's what happened to me when I was being hit really severely back in 2017. The D-dimer level registers the clotting that's going on in the blood. That's one of the major side effects of being hit with chronic radiation when you're in this program. What is your name again? I didn't hear. I just heard long-time TI.
Yeah, I'm in a very difficult situation right now, so I'm just not going to go into share any information tonight. But I've been following your group for quite a while now, and greatly appreciate all that you do. And you're just a great beacon of light and encouragement to people who are really going through a full program.
Yeah. You had mentioned about your body modification, and that's something that I don't think every TI gets put into that program. I can I can understand fully what you're discussing. I had just had this conversation with a TI this evening who's living out in California. It's part of the transhuman agenda, and there's a great book by Tom and Nita Horn, and it was one of the best gifts I got when I was first brought into this lovely program. One of the most interesting books, and let me just pull the title up for you. It's called Forbidden Gates, How Genetics, Robotics, Artificial Intelligence, Synthetic Biology, Nanotechnology, and Human Enhancement herald the dawn of the techno-spiritual warfare. Anyway, the title of the book, Forbidden Gates by Tom and Nita Horn. And anybody who doubts that this technology exists and it's being used on us, we're being used as guinea pigs for that 1%. And, we talk about the people running this planet. The 1% want to test this stuff out on us. And one of the things, they're not going to discuss it in that book, Forbidden Gates by Tom and Nita Horn. It's really a great read, and I was blessed to have been given that early on. One of the best things you can do is to detox. Joe, Frank, what's the guy in Canada, Pantalleresco? Tony Pantalleresco? I think that's how you say his last name. He's got some really great videos on detoxing. Because all of us at this point, since this whole chemtrail, I don't know if it was Project Cloverleaf, I don't want to misspeak, but Frank, correct me, was it Cloverleaf with the chemtrail spraying?
I believe so, yes.
Project Cloverleaf. Okay, they've been spraying this garbage on us at least since the 1980s. So every single person walking around, it's not just us on this phone call and listening in, we're loaded with smart dust and nanotechnology. And I think it was only as recently as last year where the American Academy of Dermatology finally acknowledged that Morgellons was a real disease. They were sending everybody for psychiatric consultation because people were getting this rash. They were getting rashes all over their body. But when you looked really close, what their body was actually extruding were fibers. Nanotechnology was coming out of their pores. It's, so we're all covered in that. But the body modification is horrific. You just wake up in the morning, you're like, I didn't look like that when I went to bed. What just happened overnight? And one thing we just try to do is detox as much as we can. Heavy metal detox with oil of cilantro. There's so many things. But this Tony Pantalleresco has great videos. He's gone to incredible protocols for detoxing the entire body. And even like organic vegetables, they tell us how we should keep nutrition, especially with lupus. Do we still have Jewel on? The doctors are like, oh, if you have autoimmune disease, you've got to be so careful with what you eat. And even if you eat organic, if they're spraying these dang chemtrails onto organic produce, what's that going to do for you? You're spending extra money on this stuff, and it doesn't help. So so you got to scrub. I mean, it's crazy what we're talking about here, but it's happening to everybody on the planet now. We're just aware of it and know that this is happening.
I would like to just add that while that technology is so awful and there's a lot of it taking place, there's also another area that these body modifications are coming from. And in my case, it started with the area I live. Organized crime has infiltrated into the medical system, and they are completely controlling the medical system. And I have firsthand knowledge that the people, they literally these body modification sessions are very surgical in nature. So they're actually performing surgery on their targets and moving, for instance, and it takes years to do this to a body, but I mean, they will strike and sever bones and then microwave and move them and shrink and disintegrate to actually manipulate the skeleton. What they've done is they've moved my clavicle to the top of my shoulders and the collarbone up to strangle me. And then they have energy on in the house, any house I go to and anywhere in public, so that it, and a person who's targeted, maybe this is technology part why a targeted person can feel it, but someone who's not targeted can't. But there is so much energy emissions that it causes a fluid buildup. And they can also direct energy to cause a fluid buildup to mimic a heart condition, and they do narrowing of the breathing passages. And this is to mimic cardiovascular and cardiopulmonary, and to cause cardiovascular and cardiopulmonary, and cause a lot of different medical health issues attacking the vascular system through literally chipping away and disintegrating the skeleton, so that the vascular system is compressed down or blocked, and causing all kinds of blockages and causing organs to rupture and bleeding and all kinds of issues. But it is definitely it's racketeering on every level, and it is a money-making industry. And it's there needs to be concern by the public that I think it's more than 1 million, because it's an industry where I live of covertly targeting people for their assets and to prey upon youth. And a lot of it's being done in the churches to prey upon youth, to take girls on trips, road trips, drug them, rape them, prostitute them, and egg extractions going on. And that's black market industry of what they're doing with eggs and creating non-registered children, and they threaten me and send me pictures of children that they say are my grandchildren. You just wouldn't believe what kind of monsters they are. And then also non-consensual, creating, threatening parents that they're creating Manchurians of their children, and I have most horrific threats that, you know, a family is targeted so that each person is given a plan and each person is siphoned for maximum potential of whatever crimes can be committed, and the crimes are so extreme.
Is this Jewel? We have to say goodnight in a couple of minutes. And what I would do is I'd like to thank you all for tuning in. And pardon my voice tonight. I don't have one. I don't know where it went. But thank you so much, Susan. And it's a shame about Midge. We're going to have to call her and find out what's going on. I texted her, and I did. Mike tried to call her, so there's no trace. But I would like to say thank you once again, and good night from Boston, Massachusetts. My name is Frank Allen, and good night.
How would you like to earn an extra $10,000 or more a month from the comfort of your home? We show you how to win with a home-based business opportunity. This could be one of the best financial decisions you ever make. Work from home, full-time or part-time. Plus, you'll never have to talk to anyone. Our professional sales team closes all your sales for you, and you keep 70% of all the sales made. You could be earning money while you're sleeping, shopping, working out, wherever you are, day or night. Our system goes to work for you. You can make a great income without any special computer skills or sales training. Plus, you get paid fast, within just 24 to 48 hours after our professional sales team closes a sale for you. Let us help you eliminate your financial concerns. You could be earning enough money to pay off debt, buy a house, a car, or whatever the case may be. We've got you covered. If you'd like to add an extra $10,000 or more a month to your portfolio, and you would like to know exactly what we're doing and how we're doing it, go now to www.getstartedwithus.com. That's www.getstartedwithus.com. Again, that's www.getstartedwithus.com.
You're listening to Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
You're